Max and Maggie in Autumn, written by Janet Craig, illustrated by Paul Mazel. This is a table of contents. Basically, it's telling us what we're going to find in different parts of the book. So if I turn to page 4, I'm going to read the story about the falling leaves. And if I turn to page 18, I will be at the story of the perfect pumpkin. The falling leaves. "Autumn is here," said Maggie as she looked out the window. A cool breeze was blowing. Pretty yellow, orange, and red leaves were falling from the trees. One by one, the leaves floated down. Soon they covered Maggie's yard. "This looks like a good time to rake," said Maggie. Maggie worked very hard. She raked until there was not a single leaf left on the ground. "There," said Maggie. "Now I'll go visit Max." Max was Maggie's best friend. "He may need some help with his leaves," she said. Off Maggie marched. She saw one last leaf fall on the grass. "I will be back for you later," she told the leaf. When Maggie reached Max's house, she could not believe her eyes. Leaves were everywhere. They covered the yard, they covered the garden, they covered the path. "Max certainly does need help," said Maggie. She was about to start raking when she heard Max's voice. "Stop! Stop!" he cried. Max was running down the street, huffing and puffing. Over his shoulder he carried a very big bag. "Please don't touch those leaves," said Max. Then he turned the bag upside down. Out of it poured hundreds of leaves. "What are you doing?" cried Maggie. "Now there are more leaves to rake." "I know," said Max happily. "Wait here, I'll be right back." Max set off with the bag. Maggie was puzzled. "I like Max," she thought, "but sometimes I worry about him." Max soon returned. He poured out more leaves. "All right," he said. "Now we can rake." Maggie and Max raked and raked and raked some more. At last, they were done. A giant pile of leaves stood in the yard. It was the biggest leaf pile Maggie had ever seen. "That was a lot of work," said Maggie. "I'm glad we're done." "It was a lot of work," agreed Max. "But we're not done yet." "What do you mean?" asked Maggie. "Watch," said Max. He ran across the yard, leaped, and jumped right into the leaf pile. Then he rolled in the leaves and laughed and laughed. "Come on," said Max. "Falling leaves are the best part of autumn. First you rake them, then you fall in them." Maggie laughed. Then she took a running jump and landed in the leaves beside her friend. "What fun," said Maggie. "Do you think this is why autumn is also called fall?" "I wouldn't be surprised," said Max. The perfect pumpkin. One sunny autumn day, Max and Maggie were taking a walk. "This is a fine day for it," said Max. "For what?" asked Maggie. "It is a fine day for finding the perfect pumpkin," answered Max. "I love pumpkins," said Maggie. "So do I," said Max, "but only if they're just right." Maggie and Max went to the pumpkin patch. Pumpkins of all sizes and shapes were growing everywhere. "Look at all these pumpkins," said Maggie. "Yes," said Max. "I do hope the perfect pumpkin is here." "What does the perfect pumpkin look like?" asked Maggie. "I'm not sure," said Max, "but when I see it, I'll know." Max and Maggie looked for a pumpkin. "How about this one?" said Maggie. She showed Max a round little pumpkin. "No," said Max, "that's too small." Maggie brought over another pumpkin. It was very large. Max frowned. That's much too big, he said. Next, Maggie found a pumpkin that was an in-between size. How about this one? She asked. Not bad, said Max, but the stem is too short. Maggie found more and more pumpkins, but not one of them was the perfect pumpkin. Too thin, too round, too orange. Not orange enough. Max found something wrong with each one. Maggie was getting tired. But I would like to find the perfect pumpkin for Max, she thought. At last, Maggie smiled. There, in a faraway corner of the pumpkin patch, she spotted a beautiful pumpkin. It was big, but not too big. It was not too round and not too thin. Its stem was not too short and not too long, and its orange color was just right. I found it, Max, called Maggie. Come and see. Max ran over. He looked at the pumpkin and he almost smiled. Then he saw a tiny brown spot on the pumpkin. No, he said sadly, it's not perfect. Maggie frowned. I'm going home now, and I'm tired of looking for the perfect pumpkin, and I'm tired of you. She marched away. Max watched her go. I guess I wasn't very nice, he said. Maggie tried so hard to help me. Max picked up the almost perfect pumpkin and carried it home. He scooped out the insides of the pumpkin and carved a funny face on it. Then he used the insides to bake a delicious pie. Next, Max sat down and wrote a note. Dear Maggie, here is a pie and a jack-o'-lantern for you. Thanks for helping me find the perfect pumpkin. From your best, but less than perfect friend, Max. When he was done, he gathered up the pie and the pumpkin. He brought them to Maggie's house and rang the doorbell. Maggie came to the door. Hello, Maggie, said Max. He gave her the note. Maggie smiled. The pie smells scrumptious, she said. Let's have some. And they did. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have an awesome autumn and a fabulous fall.